And now you're back on Tamer. And how is the state of PvE on Tamer for you currently?
I'd say that Tamer PvE currently is the best spot it's ever been. I don't know if it's because like of my gear, but just the overall damage output of the class in PvE is probably the best it's ever been. Honestly, like I can't really think of another time in the past 5 years where it's been better.
It's
Um,
better than back when tamers were running all over Maine on pirates, pulling like 20 mobs.
I mean, at least, but then it was like it wasn't because you were good. It's because what I'm saying your party members wanted to use you for the tags,
Oh yeah,
right?
that's sad, dude.
But
True.
yeah, like, it's in a pretty good spot in terms of PVE. Like if it stays like this forever, I would personally be fine with it. Most of her woes come with like what is your purpose in any kind of large scale fight, right? Like siege and stuff like that. But yeah, her PVE is really good right now. Like I would say that if Kuno was in the same PVE state as Tamer right now, that Frosty would probably be happy with it, honestly.
Dude, all I've been asking for is to be average this whole time. Like that's it. That's all I want, man. Well, I wanted to ask you though about specific. What do you think changed it? Because like when I saw the patch notes coming May 26th, I was like, dude, Kuno is gonna be so good. Like they buffed everything by a ton, and then like I go and grind, and I'm like, wait, like why doesn't this feel this good? Like what the hell? So what was it about Tamer that made it feel a little bit better in PvE? Because like everyone got damage buffs.
So the Tamer one was kind of weird. I would kind of attribute it to the Dark Knight or the Mystic treatment, where it was like, so they almost every couple weeks they would buff a skill that was kind of pointless, that didn't really do a lot. But then those little tiny changes added up, coupled with the ability to cancel roaring for the really easy, like long range pull, which is something that Tamers complained about for a long time. So it's like all of those little changes over time added up to like, oh shit, like you actually do pretty good damage in PvE now.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Sort of like how they were doing tweaks to Dark Knight and Mystic over the course of like a month. Like every week they would change a little damage here, a little damage there, things like that, right? So it just kind of added up over time and out of nowhere it's like, oh wow, like I can actually pull mobs now. So that was probably the biggest thing.
Yeah. What about PvP? How is Tamer in 1v1 and how is it in group PvP?
Um So 1v1 is kind of weird because I still hold the belief wholeheartedly that 250 AP and below, Tamer is the best 1v1 class in the game, hands down. Now, when you're at the point of 300 plus AP, that's when it gets really weird and really dicey because your Tamer follow up abilities do the same damage whether you're 100 AP or whether you're 300 AP. So, like, it kind of gets to this weird situation where you're still having to do like multiple abilities, whereas like a Sage can T pose you and you're dead, right? Like, or like you catch a serpent ascension for all your HP. So I don't know. It's kind of weird when you're talking about deep in game, but I would say around like soft cap and below, definitely still the number one PvE class or PvP class 1v1.
It really does. What about group PvP? Tamer and group PvP. Large
Group
scale
PvP
siege node war.
is it's really odd, dude. Like it's one of those things where she's kind of in the archer basket, if I will, where it's like there's nothing you do that another class doesn't do better, right? So for example, archer, he still has his range, he still can, get some damage out on people from decent range away, but mages and suck ranger do what he does better,
Hmm.
right? And a similar for Tamer, where it's like she used to be a really good 100% bot, right? So every time you get your 100% up, you'd go in and one shot like 15 people, which obviously that was too overtuned probably at the time, right? I mean, that is, but, well, then they nerfed it by, I think it was 27%, and it's pretty big. I have like double pin black star and like three 14 maneuver with a tri maneuver or something like that, and fucking I still do less damage than I did with it a year ago. So I don't know. Her siege position's
Yeah.
kind of weird. She's in an odd
Of the
spot.
siege stuff. What do you think they could do outside of the ult? What could they do to Tamer in your opinion, to make it more viable in large scale, and siege?
I'm not
I,
sure, dude.
I know it's a tough
I
question.
will I will give you my PR answer, dude. Okay,
Okay.
my fantasy answer.
All right.
My fantasy answer is I would like them to index more into the mounted Heilang combat, right? So
Okay.
like Heilang has a health bar, and he actually takes a decent chunk of damage and can be CC'd and things like that. I like the idea of the mounted Heilang combat where he takes the damage while you're mounting him, and then once he dies, you can't summon him for like X amount of minutes, putting some kind of like punishment there, and like being able to like do damage from like the back of him in the middle of like with in the thick of it. It would be hard to balance, but there's something similar to that on BDO Mobile that they could pretty easily. I feel like they could pretty easily port over, but yeah,
Isn't
that's
he
my
like
idea.
stupidly tanky?
He's very tanky, yeah. He's
All
very
right, so I'd be
tanky.
okay with that. They just nerf him down a bit.
Yeah,
'Cause
if
he's
they
like
probably
basically
take him down.
impossible to kill, I think, right now.
Do you remember the so I was maining Tamer around the time Striker came out. I'd mained it for about 4 or 5 months at that time, and Striker came out, and I remember when I was dueling Strikers in BA, if like literally just fighting them, their clones were killing the Tamer pet. Do you remember?
Yeah, I
Like,
remember there was like a weird bug where or like summons were doing massive amounts of damage to Heilang. Yeah.
it was annoying because when you'd go to respawn him, you would get CC'd. And then when he wasn't there, you felt like naked, you know? Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Just busted ass
I'm
Striker.
I guess that's kind of like a good thing with like the class reworks thing is like I'm kind of scared for it, dude. Like I don't it's kind of weird. Like it's like they're being like they feel like they're forced to prioritize this now, and I don't want them to like make any kind of crazy changes to make a class lose its feel, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I guess we'll touch on that, eventually later.
I do have one Tamer related question before we go to siege stuff.
All right.
Shoot.
What passive would you like to see replace the weight passive?
Oh god.
Yeah, the weight passive is really weird and like outdated. The Fortune Blessing with the 25 weight or 25 weight limit. They eventually added 50 HP to it, which was like a hey, we see it. We see you. I'd like an evasion passive, dude, for a class that's like so squishy. She doesn't really have any evasion scaling, honestly. You have like one or two ability, or you have one ability with awakening and one ability with succession that's like a 6% evasion buff, but they're really weird abilities, and a lot of times if you're using them, you're like probably gonna die. So I would like her to get some kind of like evasion, even if it's only like a 2%, just something there. Just something simple.
Yeah. What do you want your unique passive to be for Tamer? Like they said, they're gonna give something similar to how Sage can open doors, and the mermaid can swim. What do you want for Tamer? What's your class like weird passive?
And Hash can sprint through the desert, right? Without
Yeah.
no stamina costs.
And extra fast.
True. I want it so that mobs don't attack you because you're a beast tamer.
Oh.
So mobs don't
okay.
aggro onto you naturally. Yeah, dude, the spitball. How about that?
That sounds awful for grinding.
It's actually really bad, but it's the first thing that came to mind. Okay,
You just totally nerf Tamer grind completely. There's like, yeah,
just ruined.
you got to kill one mob at a time now where they're standing. It's the only way.
Yeah,
to do it.
or like Chad said, make it so that Heilang is like a decent horse. Because currently he's equal to like a T3, T4 horse, and he can't auto path while on him. So like make him a decent like horse off the get go. Make him not better than like a T8, but that could be interesting, I guess.
Yeah, with
Like
with
make him a T8 with sprint that can auto path.
Or how about this? You could sacrifice your horse to him, and he can gain that horse's stats. So you still have to have this horse, but he can basically like be as fast as your horse. so that way
Dude.
there's a point in having
God
it.
help you if
I
it rains, though.
love that idea. No, that's over. That doesn't happen anymore. Dude, I love that idea though.
It's just so funny
don't
to
know.
think that that used to be a thing.
Dude, if they
So
did
what would
that,
you do when you try to like? So wait, what tier were you saying for that?
So currently he's like the speed of like a T3, T4 horse. He's been that way for years, and you can't auto path on him.
and
So
even
it makes
that's
him
pushing
kind
it.
of pointless. Yeah. So like sometimes I'll pull him out in the desert and like hop spam, and it's a little faster than like just regular running sometimes. But yeah, I was just kind of like, okay, well, if he could like just you could feed your horse to him and he would have their speed and
They'd
you could
have
just
to show
actually
it.
ride him.
You'd have to be able to
Obviously,
watch
yeah.
it. It'd be a 10-minute clip of your hailing just mauling this horse.
Oh god.
Dude, I always hated too that like the hailing, like you leap like 4 times and you're out of stamina and doing that slow ass walk, dude. It
Yeah.
feels so bad. It feels so bad.
Dude, I would like that actually, being able to like ride the wolf again. Because
Yeah.
it used to be good, bro. Back in
Back
in the
in the
early
day.
days in
At
2016,
Hex Marie Cave, dude.
dude, people only had like T2, T3 horse at best. The Oreo T3 horse that came from the pre-order of the game was like the best horse at the time. So like Heilang riding was good, dude, and it was like you like felt stylish, but there were more tamers back then. So it was,
Dude,
was a
it
different
also
time.
I mean they could also go the lazy approach and just make it so like you can just if you're a tamer, you can just change your horse look and it's like a hailing.
True, actually. Yeah. I mean, that would be even easier. Make it
Would be
easier on them.
even easier. All right, let's talk about Siege.